From our studios at an undisclosed location to viewers all across the internet, this is the After Action Report.
Okay, so you know that feeling, right? When you're like really trying to understand some crazy situation and you're just trying to figure out like what actually matters. What are the like really big decisions that are happening without getting like totally bogged down with all these tiny little details?
Yeah.
Well, that's basically what we're going to be doing today.
Okay.
We're going deep on this like super dramatic and like incredibly intense event.
Right.
A fictional naval battle straight out of episode 10
Okay.
of The War at Home.
So what really grabs you right off the bat is the whole setting, you know? This
Yeah.
isn't just like some random ships bumping into each other out at sea. This is like full-on World War III, 1989 alternate history.
Yeah.
We're talking Soviet invasion of the U.S. West Coast.
Oh, wow.
West Germany's fallen, Washington, D.C.'s been nuked, even Pearl Harbor's been overrun.
Yeah.
Like everything's gone sideways.
It's a completely different world. And we're like zeroing in on the USS Carl Vinson battle group, right?
Got it.
They were smack dab in the middle of PACE-X 89, which is like this massive Pacific exercise.
Right.
Where like everything went to hell.
Global catastrophe hits.
They got hammered by a nuclear torpedo attack.
Oh, wow.
They lost the Terrell, the Long Beach, and their oiler, the Navasota.
Yeah, crucial for resupply.
They had to make a run for Auckland.
Yeah, so they've already been through it.
And on top of all that, right,
Right.
an EMP from an ICBM just fried most of their fancy electronic warfare systems.
Like their high-tech stuff is basically useless now.
Totes.
If you zoom out and look at the big picture, I mean, their situation is so precarious.
Yeah.
They've taken heavy losses.
Yeah.
Their defenses are like Swiss cheese and they're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The fact that they had to switch from Sydney to Auckland, I mean, that tells you how fast things are falling apart.
It's a completely different mission now.
Yeah.
And the last time we saw them in the previous episode, things got even worse.
Uh-oh.
They got ambushed by a Soviet Oscar II class sub.
Oh, no.
The USS Harold Holt went down a huge loss.
Absolute.
But somehow a Sea Sprite helicopter got a lucky shot in and damaged the Oscar II enough to force it to surface right next to the Vincennes.
All right, so you've got this hostile submarine basically popping up next to $1 billion aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind in that situation?
Well, I mean, it's got to be chaos, right?
It's a total curveball.
Like, what are you even supposed to do in that moment?
You know, I think Richmond's first thought has to be, is this it? Are they giving up?
Yeah.
Or is this about to get even crazier?
Right.
And you can really feel that tension with the Marines on the .50 cals, especially Private Cohen. They said he was really on edge.
Yeah, that's got to be terrifying.
It's like you've got these guys with weapons meant for taking out trucks suddenly staring down a submarine.
And it's just a bizarre situation.
Totally surreal.
And that hope that maybe they'd surrender,
Right.
it vanishes instantly.
Oh, no.
The Oscar II suddenly goes full throttle trying to escape.
Wow.
Acker immediately yells, "Let her up."
Right?
But they fire those .50 cals and they just bounce right off the sub's hull.
Oh, wow.
It's a harsh reminder that those guns are just not meant for this kind of fight.
You're absolutely right.
Like, you're not going to pierce a submarine's armor with a .50 cal.
No way.
It really shows the limitations of those weapons in this kind of situation.
Exactly. They're designed for totally different targets.
Right. And then you've got the Cushing trying to get a shot in with its main gun.
Yeah.
And it barely misses both the Oscar II and the Vinson.
Oh, my God.
I mean, can you imagine the chaos?
Total pandemonium.
It just shows how difficult it is to aim and fire accurately when everything's so close together.
And with the adrenaline pumping.
Exactly.
It's got to be incredibly difficult to make those decisions in the heat of the moment.
And then we find out why the Oscar II surfaced in the first place. It was damaged.
Oh, really?
But instead of surrendering,
What?
they do something even crazier.
What could be crazier than surfacing next to an aircraft carrier?
They fire a torpedo.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
The report in the Vinson CIC is chilling.
What did it say?
Torpedo in the water, bearing 150 relative. She went active as soon as she was launched.
Geez, so they're not messing around.
Richmond's reaction says it all.
What'd he say?
They've taken the damn safeties off.
That says it all.
And by the way, for our listeners, bearing 150 relative basically means the torpedo's coming from 150 degrees to the right of the Vinson's direction.
All right.
Richmond has to act fast.
Right.
He orders right, 20 degrees rudder all ahead flank.
He's trying to dodge a torpedo with an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, it's not exactly a nimble little speedboat.
No, it's not.
And at the same time, he's telling the whole fleet to get ready to fire.
Okay.
but only if they have a clear shot.
He doesn't want any friendly fire incidents.
No way.
It's a tough call.
It really is.
Balance aggression with caution when you're in that much danger.
And then he orders them to target the CIWS,
CIWS.
the close-in weapon system. Their last line of defense against missiles and aircraft.
Right, automated defense.
But then the EMP damage rears its ugly head again.
Uh-oh.
The CIWS units can't fire.
Oh, no.
They can track the torpedo. They can even move the barrels.
Right?
But the firing mechanism is fried.
That's a nightmare.
It is.
Yeah.
And suddenly the Vincent is incredibly exposed.
So all that fancy tech they were relying on?
Yeah.
It's basically useless now.
Yeah. And it makes you think, right?
Yeah.
How vulnerable are these modern navies if something like this happens?
Like what happens when the computers go down?
Exactly.
It's a big question.
And just when it seems like the Vincent is a sitting duck,
Help arrives.
the USS Texas steps in a nuclear-powered guided missile cruiser.
Wow.
It moves to shield the Vincent from the Oscar II.
So they're putting themselves right in the line of fire.
They are.
Yeah.
And we learned that their systems are messed up too because of the EMP.
Oh, wow.
They're operating in manual mode.
That's incredible.
It is Captain Wallen, the Texas, is a total badass.
Yeah.
He says, fine, commence firing.
I mean, that takes guts.
It really does. They're putting their own ship and crew at risk to protect the Vincent.
That's what it means to be in the Navy.
And their initial shots miss the Oscar II, which is still maneuvering like crazy.
Of course.
But the Oscar II isn't done.
No.
It fires another torpedo,
Oh, my God.
bearing 094 relative.
Active immediately.
Immediately.
They're relentless.
Absolutely relentless.
Yeah.
And the sea sprites that did so much damage in the previous episode, they can't really engage now.
Why not?
It's too risky.
Too risky.
With all the ships moving around so erratically, they could accidentally hit one of their own.
That makes sense.
It's a classic example of the fog of war.
Where your own assets can become liabilities because the situation is just too chaotic.
But the fight isn't over yet.
No.
The USS Moynister, a Knox-class frigate,
Okay.
and the USS Thatch, an Oliver Hazard Perry-class frigate,
Right.
they join the fight.
Right. More firepower.
The Moynister scores a hit on the Oscar II, tearing off part of its sail.
The sail.
That's the vertical structure on top of the submarine.
Oh.
It's a clear sign the sub is getting hurt.
Okay, good.
And the THAC also gets a hit in.
Nice.
But then it immediately becomes the target.
Oh, no.
They pick up a sonar contact, and the report is terrifying.
What did it say?
Torpedo has acquired us bearing 136, 100 yards.
That's way too close for comfort.
It is. The THAC's captain orders a hard port turn.
Trying to dodge it.
One last desperate attempt to get out of the way.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Oh, no.
The torpedo slams right into the THAC's bridge.
Jeez.
The explosion is massive.
It's a direct hit.
The ship is basically gone.
Just like that.
It's a brutal reminder of how destructive these weapons are.
Even against smaller ships like a frigate.
And losing a frigate like the Thatch,
Right.
it weakens the whole carrier group's defenses.
They're more exposed to other submarine attacks.
And in the middle of all this destruction,
There's more.
a lookout on the USS Missouri.
The battleship.
The battleship sees something incredible.
What could be more incredible than what we've already heard?
He sees the THAC's anchor flying through the air.
The anchor.
The anchor. It was launched hundreds of feet into the air by the explosion.
I mean, I get that the explosion was huge,
Yeah.
but an anchor?
I know it sounds crazy,
It does.
but the visual is just wild.
It's a testament to the force of that explosion.
And get this.
What now?
The Missouri's 5-inch gun crews actually hit the anchor in midair.
Are you kidding me?
They managed to deflect it.
That's some incredible marksmanship.
It's insane, right?
Absolutely insane.
Talk about quick reflexes.
They must have been training for years to pull that off.
Years and years.
Amazing.
But the danger's not over.
There's more.
Another torpedo is spotted, coming from the Oscar II, straight for the Vincent stroke. Richmond orders another hard turn.
He's got to be exhausted.
Starboard this time. Hard over.
It's like a game of high-stakes dodgeball,
It really is.
but with way higher stakes.
And finally, the USS Bunker Hill gets a chance to engage.
The Bunker Hill.
An Aegis cruiser,
Okay.
known for its air defense capabilities.
Got it.
And the Texas.
What about the Texas?
They put themselves in harm's way again,
Trying to protect the Vincent.
trying to shield her from the torpedo.
Wow.
It almost ends in disaster.
What happened?
The Vincent and the Texas nearly collide.
Oh my God.
It's a heart-stopping moment. But the torpedo keeps coming.
Right at the Vincent.
Right at her boat. Richmond orders all hands brace for impact.
That's never a good sign.
The collision alarm blares throughout the ship.
I can't even imagine.
And then it hits.
Where?
Below elevator number 4.
A direct hit.
A direct hit.
That's a critical area for aircraft operations.
It is. The damage report is grim.
What kind of damage?
Bulged elevator doors.
Okay.
Flooding in lower compartments.
Oh, wow.
The whole ship shook from the impact.
That's a lot of damage.
And elevator number 4 is completely out of commission.
So they can't launch or recover aircraft from that elevator.
Not anymore.
It's a serious blow.
It is. Richmond starts demanding damage reports from all over the ship.
He needs to know how bad it is.
He needs a full picture.
Makes sense.
And then they get another report.
All right.
They spot Soviet crewmen on the Oscar II's bridge, armed with RPOA Schmel thermobaric rocket launchers.
Thermobaric rocket launchers.
Yeah?
Those aren't your average explosives.
No, they're not.
Thermobaric weapons create this huge pressure wave and intense heat.
Yeah.
They're especially deadly against enclosed spaces like a ship's bridge.
And their target is the Texas.
The Texas, they've already taken a beating.
They have the Soviets fire those rockets.
And they hit.
One misses hitting the radar mast,
Hey.
but the other slams right into the Texas's bridge.
Oh, my God.
Captain Wall is killed instantly.
That's terrible.
And several others are injured, including the executive officer.
It's a huge loss of leadership.
It is. But the Marines on the Texas fight back.
What do?
They return fire and take out the Soviet crew on the Oscar II's bridge.
Crazy.
And even though its bridge crew is gone, the Oscar II tries to fire more torpedoes.
It's a last-ditch effort.
It is. But then the Missouri steps in
The battleship.
with all 3 of its 16-inch gun turrets.
Those are some seriously big guns.
They are. They were designed to take on other battleships.
Not submarines.
No, but they work just as well on subs.
I bet.
The Missouri fires a full broadside.
What happens?
The Oscar II is obliterated,
Gone.
completely disintegrated along with its torpedoes.
Wow, that's a serious display of firepower.
It's the end of the line for the Oscar II.
So the battle is finally over,
It is
but at a huge cost.
a huge cost. The Vincent is damaged.
Right.
The Texas is battered.
And they've lost 2 ships.
The Harold Holt and the Thatch.
Bless all the casualties.
And as the Vincent starts to pull away,
What happens next?
they get word that the Enterprise carrier group is being pursued,
The Enterprise.
estimated to be about 600 miles to the west.
So they're not out of the woods yet?
Not even close.
What do?
Richmond decides to stick to the plan.
Head to Auckland.
Head to Auckland and hope to meet up with the Enterprise there.
It's a risky move.
It is, but they've taken a lot of damage.
Right.
Their systems are still messed up from the EMP.
And they don't know how many more Soviet subs are out there.
Exactly. They're still vulnerable.
It's a dangerous situation.
Incredibly dangerous.
Oh. Okay, so let's try to sum up what we've just discussed.
Okay.
We've seen a brutal naval battle
Yeah.
with heavy losses on both sides.
The Harold Holt,
That.
damage to the Vincent and the Texas,
And a lot of casualties.
but they did manage to destroy the Oscar II.
That's true.
So for our listeners,
All right.
I think there are some really important things to take away from this whole fictional scenario.
Absolutely.
First of all, it shows just how brutal modern naval combat can be.
Even in this alternate timeline.
Yeah, it's not a game.
Not at all.
And secondly, it really highlights how devastating something like an EMP can be
yeah, it can cripple even the most advanced technology.
and force you to rely on older, less sophisticated methods.
Like fighting a submarine with .50 caliber machine guns.
Exactly.
It also shows the incredible importance of human decision-making,
Yeah.
courage and resilience.
Richmond's quick thinking.
The bravery of the crews on the Texas and the Missouri.
And just the sheer determination of all the sailors and Marines involved.
They faced overwhelming danger.
And they didn't give up.
Not for a second.
And we also saw how new and unexpected threats can emerge.
Like those thermobaric rocket launchers.
Yeah.
It just shows that even in a conflict where you think you know what to expect,
Yeah.
things can change very quickly.
And finally, we're left with this sense of uncertainty.
Right.
The Vincent battle group is still being hunted.
And we don't know what's going to happen to the Enterprise.
It's a cliffhanger.
It really is.
So it makes you think, right?
It does.
What are the bigger implications of this battle?
Exactly.
How will the loss of ships and personnel affect the Vincent's mission going forward?
And how will they deal with the EMP damage?
Can they even make it to Auckland?
And what about that message from the Enterprise?
What did it mean?
We don't know yet.
But it's clear that the danger isn't over.
Not by a long shot.
Things are just getting started.
It's only going to get more intense from here.
So for our listeners,
Right.
think about those questions.
and see if you can come up with your own answers.
We'll be back soon with another deep dive.
And we'll see what happens next.
Until then, stay safe out there.
And thanks for listening.